Hello, good Wednesday morning. Hello, everyone. All right. So, I feel like every Monday morning I have this magical message that goes out. And then between Monday and Wednesday, there is so much that happens in life that I just want to talk about it all. So, we're going to pick up, we'll start with what we talked about on Monday in the email thread that went out, which was performing. Where are you still performing? So, me personally, um, I grew up with a pressure to perform. Like, I felt like I had to either be the good girl or the understanding one or the quiet one or the sensitive one in order to earn love. And so that's what I did for safety is like I would make sure that I got the good grades. I Here comes my cat. I made sure that I was everybody's friend, that I stayed quiet in the conflict, that I didn't ruffle the feathers, right? So this is something that I entailed, I took on through my entire adult life. Was not a fan of conflict. I didn't speak up. I didn't have my voice heard. I very much um, was back in the shadows. Like, even as and of course, you know, like I've grown to a point where I can talk on video now. Like that even was a struggle for me. So when I talk about performance to presence, so that's something that a lot of us don't really admit out loud, especially when we're talking about like the spiritual path and healing. And so interesting that I'm talking about my voice and I'm like having to clear my throat. It's just the energy moving. And not only that, but the Lionsgate portal is very much, we're opening up the throat chakra right now. So there's a lot of um, Atlantean energy that's being pulled from our throats right now, falling away. Um, so when we think about Atlantis, like we know about this fallen city, and not none of us really know like there's some books out there, there's some theories, but we don't know exactly what happened to Atlantis, and that's mostly because um, there was we were restricted on our voice. We weren't able to say what was going on or what happened. So that is something that's been carried along um, for lifetimes and generations. So this is starting to fall away. We have a lot of the veils thinning, a lot of karma that's being transmuted. We have a lot of limiting beliefs that are falling away, such as self doubt. So, this is like the most beautiful time to talk about this because me, myself, I was even performing in my spiritual ascension, in my spiritual path. And so, what does this look like? Like, having tools, having meditations, ceremonies, rituals, um, coaches, the shiny object syndrome, like going for like all the ways that I can be healed, um, going on, journeys, on doing breath work, hypnosis, journaling, you know, getting to know your shadow, like all of those things. And you can do all the things, but if it comes up like a to-do list, like a task list, like I need to do this to heal, like I need just one more thing, to finally fix myself, right? Like if I could just get a breakthrough in this, that'll be enough, and then like I'll be done and I'll arrive. And it's keeping you stuck in a loop of performance. And so that it's part of an old paradigm. It's basically the old story that says that I have to earn my worth by doing more, or I must control like how I'm seen, or my truth is dangerous. Being my true authentic self is dangerous. Um, this comes up with a lot of people who are doers, like busybodies. Like I'm totally a busybody. Like I totally um, like to fill up my schedule so there's no time to just be. And so that's something I have to draw a very big boundary on. I get to rather I get to have days that are downtime. I get to have days every week that are just for my self-care. And I had to create this shift in my mind that by doing nothing, that's okay. Like it's like just being. If it's too, like, I had it in my mind that if it's too easy, it's not going to be worth it. That like even in business and life and jobs and in relationships and everything, like I had it in my mind, if it's too easy, it's wrong. So what happens in that instance is your subconscious mind, if it thinks it's too easy and easy is bad, right? Like it has to be hard in order for it to be good or worth it, or like you'll get the reward at the end, you'll subconsciously create things in your life that will be hard. Like, does that make sense? Like you're going to subconsciously sabotage yourself, and then like you'll have some like really good months in business and then you'll just tank, or you'll have money and you'll secretly sabotage yourself to put yourself in such a bad debt situation that you're constantly stressed about it, or you're going to be in a relationship and you'll be happy and things will be going really well, and like especially like the beginning years when you're all hunky dory and like everything's awesome, and yeah, they do that and that kind of annoys me, but it's okay because I love them, right? But and then your mind will subconsciously create these situations where you're like, I can't freaking take it anymore, and you have to just like yell it out, and then like things start to go downhill, right? So that's just your subconscious mind putting you back in that loop because it thinks it's more safe in the hard, in the doing, in the, like, and these are essentially like they're like red herrings. Like, look over here because I don't want you to find this thing that's a little bit deeper that deserves to be released, because if we release it, we don't know what kind of person we're going to be if we release that, right? So you create situations where you can't be your authentic self, where it can't be easy, where you can't just be. So, you know, when you have these stories running on, like going on in your mind, where you have to control how you're seen and perceived, and everybody else's opinion matters more than yours, like, or you think that your needs are too much, or if you don't perform perfectly, you'll be rejected, right? Like, that's exhausting. That's exhausting because no matter how much you chase, how many breakthroughs you chase, you'll never you'll never arrive. Like, your goal line, your finish line, it's just going to keep hopping over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, and you're just going to keep chasing it. Like, you'll never arrive. You'll never be there. And honestly, with healing, there is no like arrival point. I'm sorry to say, but it's an evolution. You Healing is becoming a better person than you were yesterday, having more awareness to the things than you did yesterday. And if you're constantly striving and trying to go after the things, right? Underneath it all, you're still negotiating with love, with safety, with your right to exist without needing to prove anything. So, what I've learned, especially recently in my own moments of shedding and silence, is that your worth is not something you can earn. It's something you remember. I talk a lot about this. Like we on a spiritual level, our soul, our spirit is the most divine, pure, most perfect thing. We are radiating love. We, you know, there's no like turmoil. There's no like you're just magnificent in that being. And so the point of evolving, ascending, coming into consciousness is not to fix yourself, but to stop abandoning yourself so that you remember who you were in the beginning. You're not here to perform your healing, you're here to live your truth. And so the moment we stop running and fixing and performing, like instead choose to be with ourselves, even in the mess, even when it's quiet or uncertain or really, really uncomfortable, that's when things begin to shift. Because the new paradigm, it's I'm enough because I exist. My power is in choosing me, my truth, my joy, my radiant, messy human wholeness. And it's, healing is not about becoming someone else. Like, sure, we have people that we can look up to, like the gurus and the people that, seem to have it all figured out, right? But we get to remember who we've always been beneath the noise, beneath the layers, beneath all the shit that we packed on to ourselves. So if you're in a moment right now that feels like nothing's happening, like if the breakthrough hasn't come or the relationship hasn't changed or money or business isn't booming or the healing feels slow or invisible, just know that that doesn't mean that you're failing. You might actually be in the sacred space in between breaths where the deepest rewiring is happening, where the ego is softening, where the soul is whispering, come home. So you really don't have to hustle for healing. You don't have to audition for your own intuition, and you don't have to perform your worth. Just be here. That's more than enough. So, one thing I wanted to say on this, um, because yeah, it's the surrender. I feel like the surrender is probably the biggest thing that's the hardest part for people because we're so used to doing, we're so used to the masculine energy, the go go go. Like it's not healing spirituality, like it's not a checklist. It's not even like coming into like the perfect mindset, right? Like cuz like you have those people that just say you know change your thoughts, think positive, blah 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 blah, right? And no person that I know can think positive all the time. There's not a single person out there that is just so, I don't know, like whatever the word that I'm looking for, just so disillusioned that they can only think positive all the time. We're still going to have opinions about things. Life is still going to come up. We're still going to be sad. Like, that's contrast. We have to have contrast. We need contrast in order to know what good and bad feels like, right? And, which is also a construct, good and bad. But that said, uh, we have to know the sadness in order to know the happiness. Otherwise, if we were happy all the time, we wouldn't know that we were happy all the time because there would be no contrast to show us what sad was. So it's like you're not in this like um you're not going to come into this state where, especially with awakening, like awakening is not only is it not a linear path, but it's also not pretty. um, it's not all butterflies and rainbows and unicorns on the rainbow, like they're whatever. Like it's actually getting down to your shit, like looking at the very dark sides of yourself and accepting them. And sometimes that's fucking hard. Actually, she might even comment on this video, but she's typically in here. But I recently had somebody say to me, one of my clients say to me that she in her, I believe it was in one of the breathwork journeys, or maybe after, but or meditation maybe, but she saw her shadow self and gave it a hug and was in true full acceptance. And it's like her heart burst wide open. Like she was like, like it's kind of like when that happens, you're like, why didn't I do this before? Like you're not going to get into this like mystical peak state, right? Like it's not just you're going to all of a sudden pop up into the seventh heaven and just be surrounded by light and love and everything, right? Like it's accepting those darker sides of yourself. It's accepting the contrast. So the brutal honesty, you can say this even to yourself or out loud. Just the brutal honesty. I'm trying to surrender, but I don't trust it yet. And that's okay. Because that's really just meeting yourself where you are. And your higher self will smile at you at this exact point. Why is that? Because you're not performing. You're not chasing the spiritual gold star. You're just here with what is. And that's where, God, goddess, the universe, source, like your highest self, that's where they meet you. So the real thing to sit with here, like spiritual control, is still control. Maybe it wears prettier clothes or, incense or rituals or, tarot cards or angels, like, but underneath it may still whisper, if I do this right, if I, like do this perfectly, I'll be safe. If I clear enough, you know, if I get clear enough, if I get pure enough, if protected enough, like nothing bad can happen. And that's not surrender. That's essentially your nervous system still bracing for something. So what can you do, right? So you just get to practice the pause of surrender. Like, I mean, you can do this right now, just slowly, just put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, breathe into your heart, and just see that there's a little, maybe golden or white, pure light that as you breathe into your heart gets bigger with the inhale, a little bit smaller with the exhale. And just breathe in. I don't know how to let go. And exhale, but I'm willing to be held anyway. And just breathe in again. I don't know how to let go. And exhale, but I'm willing to be held anyway. And one more time, breathe in. I don't know how to let go. And exhale, but I'm willing to be held anyway. And then just sit for a moment. You can let tears come. You can let nothing come. You could let numbness come, whatever's there. Just let it be okay without judgment. Because you're not failing at surrender. You're simply discovering that it's not a task, it's rather an undoing. Even saying, I feel like I'm just checking all the boxes. That admission is surrender. Because you're no longer pretending. It's your soul cracking open the armor. And so I feel like a lot of the control comes from, like, we want to know, and you can open your eyes if you still have your eyes closed, but we want to know what the outcome's going to be. We're very attached to what the outcome is, right? We want to know what's going to happen. And like that's, like it's kind of a paradox, but like the knowing is in the not knowing. Like, I'll say that again. The knowing is in the not knowing. And like that's surrendering. That's feminine wisdom. Like that's the unraveling of your ego's grip on it needs the certainty and the control and the performance. It needs to know what's going to happen in the end. Or your subconscious needs to know if it's going to be safe on the other side of this, right? Like when you're saying the knowing is in not the not knowing, like that's your intuition saying, stop demanding proof. Just start trusting the presence. So, in the moment that you stop trying to figure it out and start just letting life move through you, like your whole journey has been like a return to, not chasing the magic, not forcing the outcomes, but realizing you are the space the magic happens. And just hold that mantra close. Like, let it rewire you. And breathe it into the people around you too. Especially like, if you have clients, like, especially the ones stuck in the like, what's next loop. So I hope that resonates. I hope that I didn't confuse anybody too much with that. Because like these are things that I was told for so long, like just surrender, just let go, be like allow the flow, the current to take you. And like it's hard to understand that because we lived our life through expected outcomes. Like we know that if we study hard and get good grades on the test, then we'll have a certain outcome to that. Like we'll maybe get into a nice school or something, right? Like we we have expectations and outcomes that we are constantly chasing because of how we were programmed to chase those things. And so do I want to talk about expectations? Because we only have so much time left. But like it kind of comes down to like living in a world of shoulds, right? All the should, we should be doing this, should be doing that. Like we have this expectation, like it's like naming a dragon, right? Like it's the invisible pressure cooker. It's like we expect that when we do this, we'll get that, right? And so essentially it's like pulling the wool over. It's like a survival blanket, right? Like it's a survival blanket that's like wrapped in this like spiritual um you know robe, right? Like expect like awakening or whatever. Like we think that if we do a certain amount of things and certain steps that we're going to eventually awaken or get somewhere. But like we have expectations just in day-to-day life. Like I need this to be profound. Like I need to heal from this. I need this experience to be what is my breakthrough, right? Like other people get these cosmic breakthroughs, why not me? Or if I don't get an answer, I totally just wasted my time, or I have to justify this experience to myself and maybe to others, right? But so again, like expectation, like that's also a performance. So when we're surrendering, like that's presence. So when you let go of what you thought you needed to receive, you actually start receiving what you never could have imagined. And again, it's a paradox. Like you thought you needed this, but when you go, let go of the outcome, be open to whatever comes, whatever is. Like experiences and activations and meditations and all those things. Like if you try to control it and make it work on your terms, you're actually further pushing things away because they're meant to work on your truth. But if you don't allow your truth, if you're still trying to control it, you're still um, masking. You're still, um, like you're still covering something up. It's not the truth. And truth doesn't always arrive like fireworks and angel choirs singing, right? Like sometimes it shows up as silence or discomfort. So when you expect something to happen, like you're pushing it further away. But the real magic is who I become when nothing happens and I stay. So that's like soul level maturity. That's the moment that everything softens. And you're not, even if you're doing that right now, like, you're not doing it wrong, because maybe that was part of your journey, part of your path. You needed to learn that and learn this, right? So that you could take the next step. So all you're doing is you're breaking up with the old story. And again, like, the story that your value is your output. Like, you can break up with that. There's no performance in evolution and in ascending, right? Like, in consciousness. So what do I want to say? What do I want to say? Other than thank you. Thank you for being here in this community. I believe that our next event that we will be doing with the Healing Day, I believe we're doing that on the 23rd. I think that's the date I set. So watch out for that. Yeah. So we'll be doing a Healing Day event, another free one on the 23rd. It's a Saturday. We're going to do that at 4 p.m. Central Time again. And then I will probably be shifting them off of the weekends in the future. So there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of good things coming. So stay tuned for that. My schedule is going to be shifting quite a bit, but Wednesdays are always going to be here for the live coaching calls. So make sure that you are in here, that I don't know, can you subscribe to updates? I don't think so, but make sure that you stay engaged in here, engaged on the email list. Again, there's lots of good things coming, and I can't wait to share them all with you. Anyways, I appreciate you all for being here, being in my community, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. Happy Lionsgate portal opening, and I will see you all next week for sure on Wednesday. Bye now.